Welcome to the Windrush 70, and that is supported by the Heritage Lottery Fund. I'm very pleased today because we have Yvonne Bailey, who is the founder and the coordinator for
Creative Culture Club.
Yes, I'll let you say it. So I'm very glad you're here today because you're a lady who has done so many things over the years. And where did it all start? Where did it all begin? So where are you from? And just from the beginning.
I was born in SVG, and a lot of people would not know what SGV stands for.
What's SGV?
But it stands for Saint Vincent and the Grenadines.
Okay.
We don't just Saint Vincent, as people think we are.
Okay.
We do have a chain of islands, and
Yes.
Saint Vincent's the mainland.
Yes.
So I was born there, and I came here as a young person, went to school here, been here most of my life.
Okay.
And that was in Hackney. First came over and lived in Hackney.
Did you come over with your parents?
No. My parents came before.
Okay.
Like many parents, they leave their children behind, if they had them, with grandparents or family members. And remember, they're supposed to be coming only for 5 years.
Of course.
But years later, still in England, so we eventually came over, myself and my sister.
So how did you find when you came over and you hadn't seen your parents for that period of time? What was that like?
It was very tense. Didn't know them, didn't remember. I recall certain things with my mother, had memories, not very good ones. Remember the time when she was leaving,
Okay.
and I was screaming and running behind her, bawling and begging her not to go. Anyway, that was then. Roll forward, we came here, they were like strangers to us. So it's just like you imagining what it's like to meet parents who are strangers to you. So we didn't have a relationship, we couldn't. The gap was too great. We still never had a relationship even when I got older. And it's very difficult because I couldn't really see them as my parents because my grandmother brought me up.
Right.
So my grandmother's more or less, in a sense, and I called her mommy anyway because her children who were there called her that. So obviously children imitate, and I called her mammy as well.
Wonderful.
So she was to me like my mother.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people who came over in that situation, a lot of them had the issue with sort of having to
Build that relationship.
up with parents that they never knew, total strangers. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So that we had a difficult time, mainly myself because I was the firstborn.
So after you had all those experiences, and I can imagine you just past your teenage years. And so what did you do
No,
next?
I was in my teenage years.
Oh, you were in your teenage years?
Yes, I left home.
Okay.
I left home at a young age.
Okay.
As a teenager. I went on and had my daughter as a teenager.
Yes.
I was working. I was working in the city. I was the only black woman in the company that I was at during the time, and I had a hard time there. A lot of racism.
Right.
A lot of racism. So been through all that, and then I eventually left there. And I was thinking I'd like to start my own business, be an entrepreneur. I was very much into African art, African history. At age 14, when I was in school, a friend had picked up a book on slavery. I didn't know anything about slavery because we weren't taught in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So that got me interested in Black history and wanted to learn more. So that is what Vins and so on,
Yes.
and other stuff as well. And it was near a school in Clapton. And the shop eventually closed when it started to get good, when people started to know us.
Yes.
The people on the building decided they needed the roof to be fixed.
Yes.
And they put scaffolding in front of the building, and they put the white sheeting around it. So all of us in the parade, we had a lot of issues. I struggled to keep going, but it was very difficult.
So you were discussing the shop. So after you finished with the city, you opened your own shop, and you had all your African artifacts. And so what happened there? So how long was that shop around for?
For 5 years.
Okay.
Until, as I said, we had scaffolding put up by the people on the building. They owned the whole parade of shops.
Yes.
In Clapton.
Okay.
And they needed the roof to be fixed, put scaffolding up. They also put the white sheeting in front of it. Customers didn't know we were there. It looked as though the whole building was empty. And that was it. Just when the business started to pick up, people started coming in, that was more or less the end of it.
So can I ask though, so when they did that, usually they put like signs saying shop's still open?
We had to try and put that, but we didn't have a big enough sign,
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was it really.
So after the 5 years of the shop being open, you must have done incredible things and impacted on so many different people's lives with the things that you were selling and educating people. And how did you find that?
Well, I find it quite well. I use the shop to try and help to educate people. Like, for instance, this elderly black man came in, very angry, stormed in the door. You know, how dare I put this, this carving out there of black people, looks so ugly. And, that's why white people are laughing at us. I said, what are you talking about? I said, this was carved in Africa by African people. This is what they're doing.
It's beautiful.
This is art. And he's really going on making fuss. And I said, do you know who buy these things? White people buying these. We used it as ugly, but they're bought by white people. They use what we have. They actually appreciate what we're doing.
Yes.
And you see ugliness. But if African people are carving this and see it as a thing of beauty, how could you be saying it's ugly?
Yes.
This is how they're seeing themselves.
Yes.
So I've had to try to talk to people over the years, try to enlighten them more, that we should appreciate like how people do. And what they're not, well, they're probably seeing it now, but we're going back to the 1980s. Now we know everything we do, other people emulate.
Yes.
And they make money out of it. Picasso himself took, the idea of African art. Look where he's got.
Yes.
But fortunately, I saw a program on TV the other day. African art is getting so big. Some of the African people, the artists, are now selling their paintings and so on for £1 million and more.
Yes.
Now people now understanding, appreciating. So I'm just hoping that once more people see this, they get more pride in their culture and their heritage. So that is what I'm really into. And so when I did close the shop, I got on really well with the young people there. And they were telling me all about their personal issues and so on. And I thought, wow, I said, I'm getting on really well. I felt I had a rapport with them. So I was thinking, what's my next move?
Yes.
And I actually did teacher training for 5 years. So I qualified as a teacher, did primary teaching. But I was also doing poetry in the meantime. And I won a competition. And I won £100.
Well done.
At the time, yeah.
Congratulations.
£100. And I used to tour around different places,
yes.
As the poet of the year for the particular company. And then one time, I went to an event, and it was to do with the Windrush. No, it was to do with Equiano Society. Arthur Torrington was one of the co-founders of that. So I met up with him, and afterwards I said to him, when he's putting on next event, can I come along and do a poem? Because I noticed he didn't have anybody there sort of doing sort of that kind of thing. I thought it'd be really nice to read one of my black poems. And from that, it led on to me becoming the resident poet of the Equiano Society. Well, Arthur Torrington, as you might know, he's also one of the co-founders of the Windrush Foundation.
Yes.
So he also asked me to write a poem about the Windrush, which is what I did.
Yes.
And that led me to get an invitation, along with all the other Windrush Foundation, the people associated with it, to an invitation from Prince Charles to go to St. James's Palace,
Was that 1998?
So, yeah, 1998, June 1998.
Yeah.
And so I also performed in the House of Commons, I performed in Westminster Archives, I performed in a number of places, with regards to the Equiano Society. Now, with the Windrush Foundation now, I had an idea that the poem I wrote is one that you move about and you act. When I did it, I acted out. And I thought, you know what? I could actually use this and turn it into a play, write a bit more, broaden it out. Now, I opened the club during that period.
That's the
Creative Culture Club, KCK. This is in Leighton. And I was trying to teach young people Black history. They weren't interested. They were leaving. They were voting with their feet, man. We don't want to hear this. So I contacted the parents and I said to them, do you tell your children about Black history? Reply was no. Do you tell them about your own history? Do the children know where you're from? Do you tell them things about when you were there, if you were not born in this country? Anything about their life stories before? And no. And I said to them, do you know what? It's no wonder I'm having difficulty teaching them about wider Black history if they don't know their own immediate family history. How can I get them engaged? And that's what I thought, how can I get them engaged?
What did you do next?
So I got the poem that I was thinking about,
Yes.
and I sat down and I started writing a play
Yes.
about when the Windrush the immigrants were thinking of coming here.
Yes.
So it's based in the Caribbean, and I wrote it with them coming here when they arrived and so on and so on. And I thought the young people could act this. I wanted them to act out that story.
Yes.
And I took it back to them. My daughter helped me a little bit with the play. I asked her to act it out. Coming Monday, when we did drama, I said to her, we're going to act it out a bit. See, those kids who were there, right, they were so impressed. They told others,
Yes.
and they came back. And we put on the play. We got funding for it from the Awards for All,
Yes.
and we put on the play. It was meant to be a one-off.
Yes.
It turned out the audience were there and they were stamping the ground and saying, more, 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 more. They're going, more, more, more. So I thought, wow, I couldn't believe it. Loads of people turned out.
Yes.
So we did it a second time. Then Arthur asked us to bring it to South London, so we took it to South London. So we did it 3 times then.
Yes.
And then for the Olympics, someone said to me, you got to do something, you know? And I was thinking, what can I do? What can I do? She goes, what about the play? I said, I didn't have anything about the Olympics in it. And then someone said to me, but it came over in the Olympic year.
In 1948.
I thought, wow, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
So then what I did, I expanded on that. I brought in the Windrush. So new people, obviously, years later,
Yes.
came on board, new young people, and we put it on again. The biggest funding we ever got, we got £30,000, almost 30,000. But I also put it on 3 times, so it's roughly 9,000 each. Because
Yes.
hiring the hall was really expensive.
No, of course.
So we did it 3 times then. And yes, it was, I mean, I was really pleased. I mean,
But-
Arthur's asking me to do it again, but it's too late now.
Yes.
Because I also, too late to apply for funding.
Yes.
Because next year's the 70th year.
Yes, of course.
Anniversary.
Yes.
Too late because I also do, having run the club, I also thought about the young people. We don't hear about black kids. All we hear about is the terrible things that they do. Another murder, another this, another that. But nobody talk about how they're doing so well.
But that's why you put the awards together.
So I decided, how can I get, so I actually got the young people. I went to an event that they were talking about young people underachieving. And they had no young people talking about why they're underachieving.
Yeah.
So I took it back to the young people. And I said, Yvonne, we will put on our own debate about why we're underachieving. And I was so happy that they'd done that. These are children aged from 12 to 16. And they brought it to the public. And I thought, I have to give them an award. And there was one young girl who got top marks in GCSEs. So I gave them an award. And the excitement that it generated was incredible. I've never seen kids so excited getting a trophy.
Yes.
And I had Will Johnson. He used to be in Baby Father back in the day, and he was at Emmerdale, I think last year before. He said to me, he's one of our speakers, and he said, Yvonne, you got to do this again. I said, Will, you haven't got to tell me. I can feel the excitement in the room. I was getting excited. So I approached the local council, explained to them, and they gave us a building for free. And now I did the award ceremony.
What's the awards?
It was called Young Gifted and Black Awards,
Yes.
YGAB for short. And they gave us a building that was in 2003. In 2004, we got a free building. In Lloyd's Park, knocked down. And the day it was pouring rain, torrential rain. I didn't think anybody's going to come. I see black women, they don't want to get their hair wet. No one's going to turn up. The place was rampacked. We had to close the doors. Security came and said, Yvonne, there are people standing. People came out in the torrential rain, waiting outside to be let in. And we knew we were onto a good thing. So from then, the next year, the building was too small. So we took it to Waltham's Assembly Hall 2005. We've been there ever since. We just had a 14th year now in October, just gone. We're looking to the 15th year next year, October.
Yes.
We're looking for support because Waltham Forest funded the hall this time, but we had to have it on a Thursday. We've always had it on a Friday, but unfortunately they put the price so high, we were priced out. Thursday's no good for us. We have young people age 4 who do ballet and other things.
Yeah.
We need to have it back on a Friday, but we need to get funding. We don't know if the council will support us again next year.
Yes.
But even with the support of the hall, we still need support for other things.
So this is just remind us what the awards are.
It's called the Young, Gifted and Black Award Ceremony.
And if people want to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you?
Okay, they can either go on the website. We got a website, which is www. In fact, you only got to Google Creative Culture Club.
And how would you
KCK, K for Creative, C for Culture, K for Club. Just Google it and we're there. We're all over the place on Google.
Wonderful.
We also have our email address, but they will also get that when they go onto our website. Everything is there, telephone number, everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming here today, and I
Okay.
appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Cindy.
Wonderful. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
thank you.
And we'll be handing back to Lavina.